Well, let's try something a little different here with a little bit of a voiceover. So I'm using some Curel tea, the famous green stuff, and somehow managed to bump the camera at the same time. But I'm just putting a really thin smear of Curel tea on the gasket for the intermediate shaft cover. Never had one leak using this. Well, I guess it will eventually leak one day, but so install some washers and some bolts, some nuts, and torque them down to 10 Newton meters. Very exciting stuff. Look at me go. Man, I'm fast. Quarter-inch torque wrench there. And now I'm going to remove the Stomsky chain tensioners, the mechanical tensioners, so they're coming out. Eventually they're coming out. Trust me, they're coming out. Here we go, they're both out. Obviously you've got to be careful that the chain does not jump on the sprockets. And then we install some oil-fed tensioners. There we go. And I use a wavy washer and a nut, and I'll come back and I'll torque that up. Just getting the right side tensioner ready. And it goes. Come back for a washer and a nut, hopefully. Where's that nut? Oh, there it is. Then we torque to 25 Newton meters, or 18.4 pound-feet. What's next? Oh yeah, a bit of oil everywhere. I did lube all the shafts before I put them in. I'll pull the pins, there they go, snap into place. Now this is really boring, but yeah, so a few notes on installing rockers. I make sure that the bores in the camshaft tower are very, very clean, and I pre-install all the rubber RSR seals onto the rocker shafts themselves. And yeah, you can see the seals are installed on the shaft. And I'm just tapping it through, and you'll see how tight it is, and that's through the thin side. It's on the camshaft tower. On the left hand side you'll see that it's a bit thinner, and on the right hand side the boss is much wider. So tapping it through even on the thin sides, I'm just going very, very slowly because I don't want to tear the seal. And then I'm torquing it down to about 18 pound-feet. That's as high as that little torque wrench will go, and that's the only one I can fit in the little cavity there. And you've got to be careful installing the rocker shafts because, as I said, the boss, on this bottom one you'll see that the boss on the left hand side is quite thick and the right hand side is quite thin, and in hindsight I probably should have tried to install this rocker shaft from the right hand side going through the thinner boss. But anyway, I didn't do it. So I'm just tapping it through lightly, and again these are installed dry. So the rocker shafts are completely dry, the seals are dry, the bores are dry, and I actually oil them because there's oiling holes in the top and the bottom of the rocker itself. I'll oil them at the end of the video and you'll see me go around and oil them. And you've also got to make sure that because the bosses on the camshaft tower are different thicknesses, you want the location of the O-rings to be equal on either side of the rocker itself. So that means, see how it's poking all the way through the right hand side? So that means that if the shaft is just flush on the right hand side, then you'll find that the location of the RSR seal is roughly equally spaced on either side of the rocker. If you don't do it, if you don't get the shaft equally spaced, you will find that when you go to tighten it up, you can actually expand the rocker shaft while it's inside the bore of the rocker. It will stop the rocker from moving. That's the worst case scenario. You can also have the rocker shafts walking out on you, and you'll have lots and lots of oil leaks. So yeah, it's just important to remember that you've got to get the rocker shaft centralised in relation to the rocker itself, not to the camshaft tower. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I might even show a little video or a little location of it later on. So the other thing that I try to do is I make sure that all of the rockers and the shafts are installed dry. The seals are dry, the camshaft tower, the bores, they're dry. everything's 100% dry. And I don't oil it until right at the very end through the oiling holes in the rocker itself. And the reason for this is it just tends to give you a better chance of having a very good seal, and also having the rockers lock into the camshaft tower. You find that when you start to torque on the 5mm hex bolt, when you get a little bit of torque on there, the rocker itself should stop turning in the bore. So you never actually tighten up using the 8mm hex on the other end. So on the left, I'm just holding the hex there just to stop it from rotating, but then I finish off without having to use the hex there because the shaft won't turn. And here you can see the correct alignment. A bit fast, but hopefully you can just pause it. And here I'm just oiling the rockers through the oiling holes. And it seems like it's a tiny amount, but I actually rotate the engine over quite a few times, and over the next day or so I'll oil the holes continually, and the oil does actually wick through around the bushing. So there we go, that's how you do it. Pretty boring to watch, so I didn't record doing the other side of the motor, but do it all again and then you're ready for the next step. Who can guess what the next step is?